Will Hay, Master of Comedy, in which Ronnie Barker looks back at the life and career of the schoolmaster comedian.
I want to go to Birmingham and they're taking me on the cruise. Oh, Mr. Porter, what a funny man you are.
Morning, boys.
Morning, sir.
Nice day, isn't it?
Yeah. Never mind about the day. What about the exams?
Oh. I suppose you want to know how you got on, don't
Yes,
you?
we do.
Well, you got your paper?
Yes.
That's yours. Well, you both failed.
Failed?
Eh?
Failed?
Failed, yes, failed.
Have I failed?
Why, do you expect to pass?
No.
Well, you got what you expected, haven't you?
Why did I fail?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, because you couldn't answer a simple lot of questions any child could have answered.
Oh, no, I didn't. I failed because you examined the papers. You didn't know the answers yourself.
Who didn't know the answers?
You didn't.
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, no, you
Oh,
didn't.
yes,
oh,
I
no,
did.
you didn't.
Oh, yes,
Oh, no, you didn't.
Well, I ought to. I copied them out of a book.
Now, that's typical Will Hay, the character of the bungling, inefficient, devious headmaster of St. Michael's Academy, which he created and made his very own for nearly 40 years. Will Hay was born in Stockton-on-Tees in 1888. His father was an engine fitter and loved inventing things. Will was clever at school, and everything he did very well indeed. When he left school, he followed his father's footsteps as an apprenticed engineer. On October the 7th, 1907, he married his childhood sweetheart, Gladys, who is now a charming and very active lady in her 80s.
Well, I first met my husband when I was 12. And from then on, he was determined that I should be his wife.
And that North Country determination affected his decisions right through his life. For example, he went to the theatre one night and watched that great comedian W.C. Fields, and immediately decided that he'd try his hand at being a comic.
When we got married, he decided that he'd like to go on the stage. So he left his job and we went on the stage, not knowing anyone, no agents. Well, I remember his first date. It was at Blackpool, and we were in Manchester. And he walked, because we hadn't any money to go on the train, so he walked from Manchester to Blackpool. After he'd finished the date, he hadn't enough to take us back to Manchester, because he only got 30 shillings for the week's work, so we had to walk half the way to Manchester.
Times were hard for unknown comics in those days. But he got his first big break with Fred Carno, and it was during this time that he first got the idea for his school sketches. His eldest sister was a school teacher and used to keep the whole family roaring with laughter with her many stories about the things the boys said and did in class. Will Hay did his first school sketches in drag, as a schoolmistress, but he finally decided it would be better to make the central character a master. And what a master.
Listen, will you answer my question? What is a unit of electricity?
A what?
A unit of electricity.
A unit of electricity is a what?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
That's what it is.
What is?
A unit of electricity is a what?
The boy's a perfect idiot. I mean, there's no story to him.
A unit of electricity is called a what?
Well, why didn't you say that in the first place, then?
The very first school sketches didn't have the old man in them, just the boys. The legendary Harbottle character was based on a stage manager's elderly father, who was fascinated by all that went on backstage, but always got things wrong because he was rather deaf. Will Hay saw the funny side and introduced the character into his sketches.
Look at this question.
Which one?
This one.
What? This? Who said that I came to bury Caesar, not to praise him?
Yes.
Well, you're both wrong.
What did I put?
You put the Undertaker.
Well, mine was right anyway. I put Mark Antony.
Mark Antony?
Yes.
Well, that's where you're wrong.
Well, who did say it?
What? I came to bury Caesar, not to praise him?
Yes.
Nero.
Nero?
Yeah, Nero said that. I've told you that before.
You don't half twist things. You never told us that.
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, no, you
Oh,
didn't.
yes,
Oh,
I
no,
did.
you didn't.
You don't pay any attention. Don't you remember I told you about Nero fiddling while the Spanish Armada was coming up the channel?
That's right.
Eh?
That's right. He was playing bowls.
Playing bowls?
Yes.
Who was?
Alfred the Great.
He's thinking of the Battle of Hastings.
Will Hay's wife often played the part of the boy in those sketches, and on many occasions she made up and went on as the old man, and she was so good that no one ever found out. The popularity of the fourth form at St. Michael's spread like wildfire. The public loved it. It seemed to have a magic formula all its own. I asked Roy Hudd, who was a great expert on this type of humour, what made it so successful?
I suppose he was everyone's idea of a schoolmaster, just sort of bent that little bit, that sort of satirical sort of edge on it, that he was just over the top slightly. It's everyone's idea of the schoolmaster, and the Two Stooges really always scoring over Will. I mean, people loved that. I think they put themselves in their shoes when they watched it. One of the tragedies of show business today is the death, really, of the sketch comedian, the comedian who worked a situation with other actors round him. Really, I suppose the last of the line must have been Jimmy James, but Will Hay absolutely was the supreme master of this. All his sketches and the spots he did on stage and things were situations, little stories with those marvellous feeds that he had.
That was Roy Hudd, and one of those marvellous feeds was Will Hay's own son.
Well, I remember joining Dad. I didn't want to join Dad, actually. He came home one day and he said the two boys were leaving him at the end of the week, and he said I was going on the stage to play the boy. And on I went, and that was that. But he was quite a taskmaster, really. I mean, fine. Off the stage, I was his son. He was my father. But as soon as you walked onto that stage, there was no relationship whatsoever, no family. It was just purely business. And that was it, and you had to do your job. He was quite a professional. I mean, he did everything perfectly first time, and you had to do the same thing. And if you didn't, he wanted to know why, and you couldn't understand anyone not doing exactly as he did. But I mean, when you consider the things he could do, I mean, it was just impossible to follow him.
That was Will Hay Jr. And it would have been impossible to have followed his father's incredible expertise at everything he did. For example, when he toured Australia with the show in the 20s, he studied the art of boomerang throwing, and he'd mastered it by the time they finished the tour. In America, where he was also a great success, he took up amateur filmmaking and made a detailed study of the movie business. On his African tour, he learned Afrikaans, and when he went to New Zealand, he studied the local native customs and folk culture. At home, he found time to indulge in his passion for flying light aircraft, and he was very good at that too. He had a lot of little party tricks, some of which he'd bring out occasionally at charity dues and so on. His son remembers one in particular.
He'd have a blackboard and a piece of chalk, and he used to ask the audience to give him 2 words, long words. It could be anything at all. And he'd pick 2 words, and then he'd write the 2 together as one word, upside down and backwards. And then when he turned the board around, you'd find that he'd written in a beautiful hand, he'd written the 2 words absolutely together, starting with the last letter of the first word and the last letter of the second word, and so on and so on. And he used to cross them off, and there were the 2 words, but done so quickly and done in such a beautiful hand.
And that's not an easy trick to do, even downside down and frontwards. There are several milestones in Will Hay's career that stand out above the rest. One was his first command performance in 1925 before Their Majesties King George V and Queen Mary. Another had nothing to do with the stage at all. It came about through his great love of astronomy. He'd bought his first telescope when he was 15, and his interest developed over the years to such an extent that some of his closest friends included eminent scientists and astronomers. One of them is that well-known TV personality, Patrick Moore.
There's no doubt that Will Hay was a very skillful astronomer indeed. He wasn't a professional, he was an amateur, this was his line, and he was very modest about it. And he didn't like to mix his very serious astronomy with his professional career. And note that when he published an astronomical book in the 1930s, Through My Telescope, which is a very good general descriptive of astronomy, The name on the title page is not Will Hay, but W.T. Hay, F-R-A-S. He had his own observatory, which he used to make various observations, and I suppose the discovery by which he's best remembered by astronomers these days is that of the white spot on the planet Saturn, way back in 1933. He was also a great observer of comets. He didn't actually discover comets or look for them. What he did was to make measurements of the positions of comets in the sky, and this was done by means of an instrument known as a micrometer, which is attached to a big telescope such as Will Hay had. Micrometers are measuring devices. They're of various kinds. Will Hay actually adapted one to the study of comets, and it is still in use today.
Will Hay's son remembers something about that.
Dad said to me, look, pop up to the toy shop and get me a number 5 Meccano set and a clockwork motor, which I did and brought this set back, and he made this weird contraption. It looked like a real Heath Robinson thing with blinking motor stuck on the back, a long arm, and a tape going around. He had a weird-looking arm sticking out with a pen in it, and, well, it looked like nothing at all. But the thing worked. And he took it up, and they have been using, I believe, a similar thing, but made with a better set than he had. I think they're using it today.
Yes, they use a number 7 set now. Back to Patrick Moore.
He also made general observations, essentially of the planets and the other bodies of the solar system, and he was also a great popularizer. And by this, I don't mean utilizing his own position in the world of entertainment, very far from it. When he went out to give lectures and talks to youth clubs and organizations of that kind, as he very often did, it was always as W.T. Hay, not as Will Hay.
I mentioned just now that Will Hay took an interest in filmmaking while he was in America, but he always maintained that there was no future in it. However, it was inevitable that he would be drawn into the film business. But his first 3 attempts weren't exactly world-shattering, mainly because they didn't have the school ingredients in them. It wasn't until 1934, and his 4th film, Boys Will Be Boys, that he decided to transfer the mortar ball and gown to celluloid.
How high is a Chinaman?
What was it?
How high is a Chinaman?
How high is a Chinaman?
Yes.
How high? Well, it's a silly sort of a thing to say, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Huh?
No.
Well, how high is a Chinaman?
Yes.
Well, it depends on the Chinaman, doesn't it? I mean, just as ridiculous as saying, well, how long is a tack?
That's not the point.
All right. Listen, you can't say how high is a Chinaman.
Yes,
No, there's no sense in it.
Yes, there is.
No, there's absolute rubbish.
It isn't.
Well, all right, if you're so smart, how high is a Chinaman?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Well, that's not answering my question, is it?
You didn't ask me a question.
Oh, yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
I said, how high is a Chinaman?
That's not a question.
Well, that's the same question that you asked me.
I didn't ask you a question.
You distinctly asked me how high was a Chinaman.
I didn't ask you. I told you.
Eh?
I simply said, how high is a Chinaman? How high is his name? And he's a Chinaman. And he keeps a laundry.
Who does?
How high?
Boys Will Be Boys was the first of many successful films that Will Hay made with Gainsborough Pictures. And on their staff at that time was film director Val Guest.
I was under contract as a scriptwriter to Gainsborough Pictures, and we were called down to a script conference one day, and the producer, Edward Black, said, we have a new comedian that we're going to try and launch into a series of pictures called Will Hay. And he wanted us all to get together with Will Hay and meet him and see what we could do as far as screen was concerned. And there was Marriott Edgar and myself. We were the 2 resident writers. The script editor was Frank Launder, and another writer was Sidney Gilliott. And I think between the 4 of us, with the addition every now and then of odd gag men who wandered in and out, and ideas men, we did a lot of Will Hay pictures.
Boys Will Be Boys was such a success that Gainsborough decided to make another 2 years later in 1936. They called it Windbag the Sailor, and the director, William Bodine, made an inspired decision to bring 2 new characters into the team, Moore Marriott as the old man, and Graham Moffat as the fat boy. It turned out to be one of the most successful partnerships in British screen history.
The old man, Moore Marriott, was at one time one of the dashing heartthrobs of the British screen as a silent actor, and had suddenly come to do these character parts. And in his stage act, Will Hay had the character of Harbottle. And so we transferred that into everyday life stories. I remember at the beginning we had great fun at the studio because Moore Marriott was trying to figure out how to play Harbottle and what to look like as Harbottle, and he went and got himself a dental plate made with one tooth, because he took his own out, which were false anyway, and that became the Harbottle tooth. And Graham Moffat was the page boy at Gainsborough Pictures, who used to bring in our bacon sandwiches and things. And when they were looking for a cheeky little fat boy for it, we said, well, what about Graham? And that's the sort of person you want. So this is how he started. He was pulled in and he became an actor.
We've been at sea for 9 weeks, haven't we?
9 weeks tomorrow.
Eh?
9 weeks tomorrow.
Well, 9 weeks is nearly enough, isn't it? 9 weeks. Now, which way have we been sailing?
Yeah. When we came out of the harbour, we turned left.
Yes, that's right, we did. We turned left. That's 9 weeks to the left,
Yeah.
see? 9 weeks to the left. Now, see, how many days are in a week? 7 days a week. 9 sevens will be 84.
63.
Huh?
63.
Yes, 63, that's right, yes. I was forgetting the Sundays. That's 63 days, 24 hours in the day. That's 24 times 63. 24 times 63 is...
What do you make it?
782.
No, 1512.
1512. How fast have we been sailing?
Well, I should say about 30 miles an hour.
No, we haven't been doing more than 20.
Well, let's split the difference. Let's call it 25. That's 1,512 hours, 25 miles an hour. What do you make it?
37,800.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, now what do we do now?
We're going to find out our latitude and longitude.
How do we do that?
First, we've got to find out where the sun is.
Oh, well, where is the sun?
It's up there.
All right, well, the sun's up there. So you put that down. Now it's 37,800 divided by the sun up there.
How can we divide by the sun up there?
Well, I don't care which way you do it. One way is as good as another. What time is it?
4:30.
4:30. All right, well, we'll multiply by 4:30. That's 37,800 by 4:30. What do you make it?
16,254,000.
Oh, well, according to that, we're about 3.5 miles from Birmingham.
He'd done Windbag the Sailor, in which the old man and the cheeky fat boy were in, and we set out now to try and do another picture with them and to write another picture for them. Frank Launder wrote the original story of Oh, Mr. Porter, and then we all got down to writing this out into a screenplay for the old man.
Listen, I don't want any evidence from you. Who are you, anyway?
Me? I'm Harbottle, porter, shunter, signalman, deputy station master when there isn't a station master, which is more often than not.
Oh, well, there's one now, see?
Where?
Here, I'm the station master.
Where's your clock?
What clock?
Your presentation clock.
How did you know I got one?
They all bring 'em. Bung it with the others. They look lovely when they're new, don't they? William Porter. Another William. That was William O'Shea. Poor Bill.
Why, what happened to him?
They put him away. Had to.
Oh? Mick Maguire? Well, why did he leave?
Nobody knows. He went out after dark.
Where to?
Don't know. Never saw him again, but we heard him. At least Albert did.
Albert? Who's Albert?
He functions for me when I'm not here.
Oh, well, which is his clock?
He hasn't got a clock. He's still alive.
Yeah. Hey, give me that back.
Well, aren't you going to put it with the others?
What, amongst them?
Yeah.
There are a lot of tombstones.
We chose an old stretch of line near Basingstoke, which was being pulled up, and we knew it was being dismantled. We built our own little halt there and signal box and everything, and we had to concentrate on shooting all the stuff around there first, because as we shot every day they were pulling up the line behind us, so we were moving further and further past Basingstoke, hoping to God we'd finish the picture before they'd finally pulled up the last piece of line.
And every night, when the moon gives seems like the ghost of the miller seen as he walks the track with the sack on his back down to the Black Boheen. And the mill wheels turn, though the night is still, and the elm lights flash from the ruined mill. He haunts the stations, he haunts the hill, and the land that lies between.
Immortal lines from Oh, Mr. Porter, made in 1937. When you're working on a film set for days on end, you get to know your colleagues fairly intimately. Val Guest has a nice story to tell about Will Hay on the set at Gainsborough.
I have to tell you that he was a hypochondriac, Bill, and he always had something wrong with him. So we used to have a sweepstake on which every one of his complaints was put on a piece of paper. And we used to write down bad arm, sinus, foot, arthritis, indigestion. All these things were put on a piece of paper, and we paid ½ a crown to take your pick out of the hat. And one of them had the field. One piece of paper had the field, so that if he'd come up with a new one, whoever had the field scooped the whole kitty. And these pieces of paper used to change hands for a lot of money, because if someone got one that he had been complaining about for a week, it would be a very popular one. And every night the assistant director's duty was to go up to Bill when he came on location and say, "Evening, Bill, how'd you feel today?" And everybody would clutch their bit of paper waiting for what complaint came out, which used to lighten our evenings up.
A great story. The Will Hay films were doing very well indeed at the box office, and by this time he'd given up his stage presentation and concentrated mainly on filming, broadcasting, and making gramophone records. But he wasn't happy. He felt the need of a change. He didn't like the idea of being thought of as a member of a team all the time. So he insisted on making the next film without the other two. It was called Hey, Hey, USA, and was probably the least successful of all his films. The public wanted to see Will Hay with more Marriott and Graham Moffat, as they'd always done.
Oh! That's your fault, that is.
My fault? What did I do?
Well, you let the draft in and bang with me Bunsen.
Well, I like that. First you try to smell us out, then you try to blow us out. You know, one of these days you're going to set light to this place. Then what will you do?
Well, never mind about that. I'm bordering on something that's going to revolutionise firefighting.
Yeah, you're bordering on something, all right.
Yeah. You wait and see. One of these days my name's going to be a household word.
Yes, like carbolic.
Oh, well, you can laugh. They laughed at Marconi when he invented the BBC, didn't they? And they laughed at Mr. Paul when he invented Littlewoods. But look at the money they've made.
Yeah, but their inventions didn't stink. How'd you expect to put fires out with that washing day mixture of yours?
Yes. Washing day mixture? I like that. It's a scientific formula. It's K2SO4 plus K3LO5 plus X.
Yeah, what's X?
Yeah, well, if I knew what that was, I wouldn't be standing here listening to you talking drivel, would I?
That was an excerpt from Will Hay's last comedy for Gainsborough, Where's That Fire?, made in 1939. A member of the cast was to be associated with him in many more films and sketches over the following years, Charles Hawtrey.
I say, it says here that if two circles touch one another externally, the straight line which joins their centers will pass through the point of contact.
Yes, well, we've just done that.
Oh, yes, I'm aware of that. But owing to the prescribed limits of the rectangle, i.e. the street being less than the inordinate length of the straight line, i.e. the pole, you're attempting to turn the greater into the less, which is absurd. The pole should be elevated to the perpendicular, QED.
We're going to push the apex, NB, this end of the pole, up through the skylight, and we'll keep on pushing until the base, PS, the other end of the pole, gets in here, you see? Then we'll carry the aforesaid base through the door, down the stairs, into the kitchen, and through the scullery, till the apex, or tip, reappears through the skylight. Then we butt it through the window, across the street, you see, thereby reversing the pole, base over apex, COD.
Will Hay, for once, getting the better of Charles Hawtrey in Where's That Fire? Will Hay was turned down as unfit for military service and was able to go on making films, but he was still determined to get away from the other two. And in order to do so, he left Gainsborough Pictures and went across to Ealing. The first film he made for them was The Ghost of St. Michael's in 1941. This was followed by a small propaganda film, and then came The Black Sheep of Whitehall, which gave the first break into films for Thora Hird.
I'd had a film test at Ealing Studios, and Will Hay just needed a comedian, or what you like, to play the secretary, who was really only about the first 100 feet. and they tested about 18 people with names, because, let's face it, I wasn't anything. And Gordon Hamilton Gay, the casting director at Ealing, kept saying to him between each of these tests, which were costing money, "Will, I wish you see this girl from the North's test." Well, of course, he said, "Look, I'm not interested, Gordon. I want a known name and a known face, you see." Well, eventually, when they'd got nothing that they really wanted, Gordon said, "Well, see it. I'm not asking you to give her the part." And he saw it, and according to what I am told, he said, "Who is she? What's her face? Send her a telegram." And I got the part.
I say, question 2's been torn out. Oh, that's a bit of a nuisance, isn't it? Never mind, I'll dictate one. Now, supposing it takes 2 men, 3 boys, 1 horse, 4 days to plough a field of 6 acres, 3 broods, 1 perch, how many men, boys and ploughs will be required to plough a field in 3 days of 5 acres, 1 rood and 39 perches? Got that?
Yes.
I think that's a jolly good question.
It's a beauty. What's the answer?
Well, that's for him to find out. We don't supply the answer.
And if you were listening very carefully, you might just have caught the few and only words that Thora Hird had in The Black Sheep of Whitehall. About this time, Will Hay was made a sub-lieutenant in the special branch of the Royal Naval Volunteer Reserve, and he taught new recruits astronomy and navigation. One of the most famous wartime propaganda films he made was The Goose Steps Out, a parody on the life of Adolf Hitler. Peter Ustinov made his film debut in that one. But although the Ealing comedies were very successful, they didn't have the magic of the old Gainsborough threesomes. In 1943, Will Hay was taken ill with cancer, but made a good recovery after treatment. In 1945, he appeared at his 4th Royal Command performance, but the next year he had a stroke which paralysed his right side. His doctors advised a holiday in South Africa because of the climate, but 3 years later, on Easter Monday 1949, he died. He was just 60, ironically the official retiring age for schoolmasters. He left a legacy of humour on film and record that was inimitably his own, and those who knew him remember him with great affection. Val Guest sums it all up very nicely, I think.
He could do more with a sniff than anybody I've ever seen. His timing was impeccable. I've worked with a lot of comedians who have great timing, but I don't think any of them are better than Bill Hay. He was an absolute past master at knowing how to get a laugh by not trying to get a laugh, how to get a laugh by saying nothing, by looking. I think he was a great man. I think he'll be remembered along with the Keatons and the Chaplins for what he did for comedy.
To adjust the service to the new time, the 11 o'clock express on this day will run at 12 o'clock summertime. Well, what are we hurrying about? We've got 2 hours.
How can you make out we got 2 hours?
Well, if we put the clocks back an hour and the train's an hour late, that's 2 hours, isn't it?
Hey, you put the clocks forward and the train back.
Well, what do we get then?
Got the express coming any minute.
What are you talking about? Listen, if the train's an hour late, how can it be coming now?
It's summertime.
Summertime. The old fool's potted. Summertime or wintertime, if a train's late, it's late.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, but you put the clocks forward.
Well, if the clocks go forward, then the train's already gone.
No, you put the clocks back.
Of course you do. You lengthen the day by taking an hour off the end and sticking it on the beginning.
No, you take an hour off the beginning and stick it on the end.
That's wintertime.
Wintertime, you put them back.
Well, that's what I said.
Oh, you said to put it back to summertime. Yes, that's right. It ain't. You put the clocks forward, which makes the train early.
Oh, would you believe? Listen, I know what I'm talking about. You don't put the clocks forward, you put them back. And you put the train back.
I see. You put everything back.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Well, of course I'm right. The train won't be here for another 2 hours. That's your fault. I said we should have put the clocks forward.
I want to go to Birmingham and they're taking me on the cruise. Oh, Mr. Porter, what a funny man you are.
Will Hay, Master of Comedy, which included the voices of Mrs. Hay, Will Hay Jr., Thora Hird, Charles Hawtrey, Patrick Moore, Roy Hudd and Val Guest, was narrated by Ronnie Barker. It was produced in Birmingham by Richard Edis.